Official statement from the Rwandan Opposition Coalition for Democratic Change. As part of the end-of-the-year meetings and gatherings, and on the occasion of the New Year 2026 celebrations, His Excellency Padre Thomas Nahimana brought together his close collaborators and key figures in the Rwandan political opposition to jointly review and analyze the current political and geopolitical context in Rwanda and in the African Great Lakes region. Article 1. They reviewed the critical issues facing the Rwandan people as a consequence of the most detrimental political decisions made by the tyrannical RPF Inkotanyi regime led by General Paul Kagame. They recalled that this regime was built and consolidated on 3 pillars: lies, terror, and nepotism. Additionally, they highlighted the rampant plundering of the Democratic Republic of Congo's resources and the security destabilization strategies employed throughout the African Great Lakes region. Article 2. They are thoroughly convinced that peace and security policies cannot be effectively implemented in Rwanda or across the African Great Lakes region as long as the Rwandan government remains under the criminal control of Paul Kagame and his regime's cronies. Article 3. It became very clear to them that effective actions and original initiatives will be necessary to achieve the regime change desired by the Rwandan people and the populations in the region. Article 4. Therefore, they have taken the following 3 resolutions. First, establishing a political framework and an appropriate strategy to unify the efforts and the will of all those who can no longer tolerate the criminal style of governance of the RPF Inkotanyi is essential. This entails creating a Rwandan opposition coalition that brings together opponents both from inside and outside the country to engage in a genuine and concerted action. Second, launching a sincere consultation with all political organizations still active in the Rwandan opposition and inviting their leadership to get involved in the formation of the Rwandan opposition coalition. Third, approach and raise awareness among friendly countries to make them understand that time has come for them to recognize and support the Rwandan opposition coalition in its legitimate struggle to end the hegemonic regime of the RPF Inkotanyi. Article 5. Following consultations with Rwandan opposition political organizations, the way became clearer. First, the only possible, adequate, effective, and beneficial strategy for the Rwandan opposition to move in the right direction is the formation of a coalition of Rwandan opposition politicians, motivated by good faith, determination, and a willingness to commit themselves to the ultimate sacrifice for the good of the nation. Second, the task of bringing these politicians together is proving to be both imperative and urgent. Article 6. In any case, as of today, we are presenting ourselves before you to inform the public of the following. Number 1. 100 Rwandan politicians have come together to form the Rwandan Opposition Coalition for Democratic Change, ROC, its acronym, which translates in French, La Coalition de l'Opposition Rwandaise pour le Changement Démocratique. Number 2. Who are these 100 Rwandan politicians launching the Rwandan Opposition Coalition, ROC? These are men and women from all 30 districts of Rwandan territory, representing both Hutu and Tutsi ethnic groups, spanning various age groups, religious faiths, and philosophical perspectives. They include activists from diverse political associations and civil society organizations. Some are present within Rwanda, while others are mobilizing in exile. United by shared determination, they are committed to working towards meaningful and effective democratic change in Rwanda. Number 3. The Rwandan Opposition Coalition for Democratic Change, ROC, publicly and officially declares that it will participate in presidential and parliamentary elections scheduled for 2029. Number 4. The Rwandan Opposition Coalition for Democratic Change, ROC, has unanimously nominated His Excellency Padre Thomas Nahimana as its candidate for President of the Republic of Rwanda for the 2029 elections. Number 5. The Rwandan Opposition Coalition for Democratic Change, ROC, wishes to express its sincere gratitude to all Western and African democracies that have agreed to support and accompany its efforts, and therefore requests that they freeze and suspend immediately all forms of aid they have been providing to this despised RPF Inkotanyi regime, which has spent more than 30 years sowing terror, death, and desolation in Rwanda and throughout the entire Great Lakes region of Africa. Impose effective economic sanctions and embargo on arms and ammunitions. And finally, issue an international arrest warrant for each of those liable for massacres, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and crimes of genocide in order for those implicated to face justice. Number 6. The Rwandan Opposition Coalition for Democratic Change, ROC, calls on all Rwandan citizens of goodwill who wish to see the dream of democratic change become a reality to give it their sincere and full support in order to defeat the RPF Inkotanyi, install a new government in Kigali that will open the political space, ban all forms of apartheid established by the RPF across all sectors of national life, release all political prisoners, undertake the repatriation of refugees, guarantee equal opportunities for all citizens without discrimination, definitely end armed aggression against the Democratic Republic of Congo, and prioritize peace and integrated development projects for the benefit of the population of the African Great Lakes countries. Article 7. Aware and convinced that Almighty God, Master of times and circumstances, will always operate alongside the Rwandan Opposition Coalition for Democratic Change, ROC, we have every reason to hope that final victory will belong to us, the peacemakers, and the deeply wounded people of Rwanda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and throughout the African Great Lakes regions. Done in Washington, D.C., United States of America, January 16, 2026. Ms. Claire Marie Ursaro, spokesperson of the Rwandan Opposition Coalition for Democratic Change, ROC.